Thank you for listening to Upaya's Dharma Podcasts, an extraordinary series of talks from some of the finest Buddhist teachers in the world. I'm Joan Halifax, founder of Upaya Zen Center, and we're so happy to make these podcasts available to you. If you find this talk of benefit, please consider making a donation to support us to continue offering these recordings freely. You'll find a donation button on our podcast page. And thank you so much for listening.
This is Dharma Podcast at dharmapodcast.org. This is show number 1440. It was recorded on January 24th, 2018. And it is titled Two Arrows Meeting in Mid-Air. The speakers for this episode are Irène Kaigetsu Bakker and Shinzan Palma.
Good evening, everybody. I've been coming here for 20 years now, at least once a year. And I've seen many, many people in this temple. And before this temple was built, in the smaller Cerro Gordo temple behind me. And I'm so happy that all of you are here tonight. So thank you for coming. As Sensei Joshin said, we are in the third week of our winter practice period. And we are studying or using two old Chinese texts as an inspiration in sitting together here in this beautiful temple. And they were written by the famous 8th century Zen master or Chan master, Sekito Kisen, or Shitu, or Sherto Shishin, which became Sekito Kisen in Japanese. Sherto Shishin, Sekito Kisen, which is a lot easier to pronounce. So I'll mostly refer to him as Sekito Kisen. And he wrote these two poems, the Song of the Grass Hut, or the Grass Hermitage, and the Sandokai, often translated as the identity of relative and absolute. And last week I was supposed to give the public Dharma talk here, but I was sick, so I couldn't. So thank you, Joshin, again for stepping in for me. And the title of today's Dharma talk is Two Arrows Meeting in Mid-Air. And this is a line from the Sandokai, Identity of Relative and Absolute. And as we sit here, my Dharma brother Shinzen and I together, I feel that's what we are together. Two arrows meeting in mid-air. At some point, the Dharma bow shot an arrow, pile is Dutch, an arrow all the way from the south. And another arrow was shot all the way from the northeast, from the Netherlands. And they happened to meet in mid-air here in Upaya. How long ago? How long do we know each other?
Maybe 10 years.
About 10 years ago. So this is two arrows meeting in mid-air. There's way more depth to this line or expression, of course, but it feels like that. You know, it's a wonderful Dharma connection that we have, and I feel it's so amazing how mysterious the Dharma can work in our lives. Yeah. So Sensei Joshin talked a little bit already last week about the Sandokai, and I heard you chanted it together. And we chant it every morning during our service. And then we also recite all the names of the ancestors. And since so many of you either just joined for sesshin or are here just for tonight's public talk, Shinzen and I thought it might be nice to first tell you a little bit about this old Chinese Chan master. Then I will say a few words about the first poem, and then Shinzen will talk about the Sandokai. And like Joshin said, this is the first full day of a 5-day sesshin. And Or I said that already. We chant in the morning. We chant his whole lineage. So Sekito Kisen was born in the year 700, and he died 90 years later, which is quite a long life in those times, I guess. And he became a monk when he was quite young, and studied briefly, maybe for just a couple of years, with Huineng, the 6th Chinese patriarch that many of you may have heard of, who was quite famous also. And then after a while he continued to study with one of the successors of Huineng, and eventually he became the 8th Chinese Zen patriarch. When we chant our lineage, and in our lineage, the transmission of the Dharma, when we start counting from the historical Shakyamuni Buddha, then Sekito Kisen is the 42nd successor in our Dharma lineage. And he turned out to become one of the most influential Zen chant teachers of those ages, of all times, you could say, because many of the Zen schools that developed later are in one way or another coming back from Sekito Kisen and his Dharma nephew or brother, I'm not sure, Masu. And when he was 42, he built a simple hermitage. He was born in Guangdong province in southern China, and there was a mountain that was called South Mountain, and he found a beautiful ledge there and built a simple hut. And when I read this, I imagine, and many of you are here from Santa Fe, and I guess many of you have been hiking up to Mount Picacho, and about halfway up to Mount Picacho, there's this beautiful ledge where you can overlook the whole valley. So I imagine his grass hut being on a ledge like that. Very simple hut. And he wrote a poem about his life there, what his life was like. And of course we don't have time to go over the whole poem, but I'll share a few lines with you. It starts with, I've built a grass hut where there's nothing of value. After eating, I relax and enjoy a nap. The person in the hut lives here calmly, not stuck to inside or outside or in between. Living here, he no longer works to be free. Isn't that a life we would like to have? A simple life, living in nature with not many obligations, completely at ease with his life as it is. After eating, I relax, take a nap. And why is it that he's so much at ease, so content with his life as it is? You know, it can be really windy or cold on the ledge, or really hot in summer. He may stub his toe and feel pain, and yet he's completely content, completely at ease. There's even no longing anymore to reach anything or attain anything, not even an idea of enlightenment. He's completely free. And he is so free because he's so detached. So detached. Almost at the end of the poem, he has some advice for us. He says, hey folks, well that's not in the poem, but listen. Let go of hundreds of years and relax completely. Let go of hundreds of years and relax completely. Open your hands and walk. Innocent. I love these lines. Let go of hundreds of years and relax. Open your hands and walk, innocent. So I would like to do a little experiment with you. If you don't mind, you can close your eyes or keep them open if that's better for you. And then make two fists. Really clench your fist as tight as you can. And just feel and notice what's happening in the body, with your breath, your face. And then let it go. What's your experience?
Relaxation.
Relaxation? Mm-hmm. What's your experience while you were having these fists? You stop breathing. I'm happy you continue to breathe again afterwards. Yeah, you're holding your breath. What else? The face is contracting, right? Becomes more tough, less soft.
Much effort.
It takes effort to hold these fists, right? It takes energy and effort.
Much tightening.
Tightening. Mm-hmm.
Almost as a response to the tightness here, the rest of the body begins to relax.
Okay, as a response after when you opened it, the rest of the body, even while doing it. Okay.
The body, the shoulders wanted to relax, wanted to not let this be the whole of my life.
Okay, and to find the balance, right? You're also a long-time practitioner, I guess. Yeah. So let's do it once more. So close your eyes if you want to, and really make fists as tight as you can. And again, what is it that you're feeling in the body right now? Breathing, your face, and then still keeping your eyes closed, really slowly open your hands. Notice what's happening. And then slowly open your eyes. And look around. Through innocent eyes. So, who would like to share about your experience now in opening after being so tight?
Softening, even the gaze.
Softening, the gaze is softening also. Mm-hmm.
A lot lighter.
Sorry?
It's like thick and heavy versus kind of light.
Okay, thick and heavy versus light, and things can move.
My world is small.
When you're like this, the world is small. Mm-hmm.
My heartbeat was quickening when I was tensing, and then I just felt it let go.
Okay, the heartbeat went up, and then when you let go, it slowed down again. Mm-hmm.
My face wanted to smile as I was releasing. My mouth went from very tense to wanting to open into a smile.
Okay, similar to the experience we just heard. Yeah, beautiful.
I'm going to throw these beans out there. For me, it felt local. Almost like not the whole body, but just part of it, piece.
Okay.
So, I mean, an example would be like if I had a weight on one leg and not the other. I mean, it just felt local.
Okay. I'll buy it.
Uncomfortable, but local.
Okay, very good.
Tense, aggressive.
Tense, aggressive, as if we're ready to fight,
Yeah, it feels ready.
Yeah.
Ready to brace.
Yeah,
It feels good knowing that I have that strength.
exactly. It also has an energy to it, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and a readiness to do whatever needs to be done. Mm-hmm. So it's not necessarily bad or good, but it's good to feel that so often our inner attitude is also like, contracting, having these fists, contracting the body. And we can learn to relax. Sometimes just by physically doing it, by physically contracting and opening, since the body and mind are one, it has an effect on our mental attitude also. So it may help to take his advice and to open our hands and to relax. And then he says, open your hands and walk, which means move on. Don't get stuck. The way is always right under our feet. Nowhere else. And to let go of hundreds of years. So many of us are carrying this load of hundreds of years. And especially, when we have had experiences in our life that were really painful or traumatic, so often it becomes a part of our identity. And we are so much more than that part in each of us that experienced pain or hurt or even trauma. So can we see that we are so much more than that? And at some point, can we let go of this 100 years of history that we are carrying on like, a bag of potatoes on our shoulders? Let go of hundreds of years and relax completely. Open your hands and walk. Move on. Don't stay stuck. Innocent. I love that word. Innocent. Like a young child. And it doesn't mean become like a young child, but to have that openness, that purity, that open-minded curiosity and excitement about life. When we do this, it's a no. When we do this, it's a yes. Can we say yes to our life just as it is? Like Sekito Kizan did. Saying yes to his life just as it is. No preference, no hopes for it to be anything different than it is right now. And this word innocence or innocent makes me think of the 3 tenets from Bernie Glassman Roshi, our Dharma grandfather. Not knowing. This attitude of complete open-mindedness. Open hands, receiving, not putting anything between what's happening right here, right now, and myself, being one with every moment as it is. No gap. Nothing in between, like our opinions or assumptions or ideas or self-righteousness or whatever. Completely innocent. Like a clean slate? A clean slate. How would it be if we could live at least a little bit a day like that? To walk with open hands and to look through these innocent eyes at each other. Forget about the history you have with somebody. I like these lines. You probably know it. Yesterday is history. Tomorrow is a mystery. Today is a gift. That's why we call it the present. So yesterday, it's all history. It's gone. Whatever happened, whether, it was really wonderful or really awful, it's not here right now. It's gone. It's history. Don't keep carrying it along with you. It's not necessary. And tomorrow, nobody knows. It's really a mystery what's going to happen. In Tibetan Buddhism, they say you never know what's next, the next day or the next world. We don't know. We can plan, we can try to control our future, but in the end, it's a mystery. And today, that's a gift. Do we really see it as a gift? Or do we take it for granted? That we are alive, that we're all meeting the Dharma here, that we can practice together. Just the mere fact of being alive is a gift. That's why we call it the present. Like Maizumi Roshi always says, appreciate your life. Appreciate this life. And he also says, and then I'll stop, about Zen. Maizumi Roshi, you probably know, one of the pioneers who brought Zen from Japan to the West and is in our lineage, the teacher of Bernie Glassman Roshi. He says, Zen is life. All of it. Nothing excluded. Can we see that Zen is our life? The full catastrophe and the full beauty of our life. And can we embrace it all? Can we say yes to our whole life? And without excluding anything. That's why Sekito Kisen was so at ease, so at peace with his life. He didn't exclude anything. So I think it's nice to have him as an example and to see this beautiful temple as a hermitage for a couple of days and live like Shito. Thank you.
Thank you, Sensei.
Oh, by the way, this is what he looks like.
So, hello, do you hear me? Yeah, good evening. Thank you for being here. Such an honor. I'm very grateful to be here in front of you and share the Dharma with you and share the Dharma with my sister, Dharma sister. Exactly 12 years ago we met. Those arrows meeting in the air. So we are in Sesshin. So the title of this Sesshin is today is our first full day. And the title is the Sandokai, to explore the poem of Shito. Like a sensei said, we are chanting every morning in our service. And I remember to chanting for the first time. The first time I chanted, it was here at this temple in Upaya. And the Korean Zen, when I was training before, I didn't have the opportunity. And then really hit me like in some level, like it makes sense. But it made sense what? Something it was just really clear and obvious, but it was not easy to grasp, or it's not easy to grasp. And then I started with the title of the poem. There are many different translations. And here we use the translation of identity of the absolute, the identity of the relative and the absolute. And other translations are the harmony of the difference and sameness. Other translations say merging of difference and sameness, merging. And other translation is the oath on identity. And one that recently I discovered, and is very, very interesting, and I will explain why, because the author or the translator said this is what really those characters say, literally. Un agreement of participating together. Un agreement of participating together. And then, I don't know Chinese, but it makes sense. And then the participating together is about the duality and the non-duality of the absolute and the relative. They had this agreement that we make life, or we make life. It makes life. And also I like the word harmony. The harmony of the differences. And she taught times, and the Zen master she taught, where there were different schools, different paths. And it was the Taoism in China, and Buddhism it was arriving, and Chan, what is now is Zen, and Chan and Chinese, or Zen and Chinese, it was growing. It was really in the honeymoon, or they call the golden age of Zen. So in that time, so with this poem, she told, if you came last week with Sensei Yoshi, he was explaining a little bit, that he tried to bring this thing together, all these streams, all this contemplative practice to just one, and then to really, I would say, sand the differences, sanding the difference, polish the difference, just to bring together. And this, for me, is not so far away. Is what is the beauty of these sutras or these Dharma teachings is that they are timeless. It's for human beings. As soon where humans exist, those Dharma is just so benefit for many generations. It doesn't change. The wisdom, it's timeless wisdom. So we can use it right now in our times. The harmony of the difference and sameness for this time. And I'd like to share personal experience that I have, and recently I revived that experience. 2 years ago, I became American citizen. So I went to the ceremony in San Diego. And I didn't have idea about United States, really, the values, how this country was built. And then I did it for many reasons. But when I went through that ceremony, I really became American, because I connect with the original values of this country where I was founded. And what struck me was we were 1,800 at the hall, 1,800 people. And it was before the elections. So I was lucky to have the greetings by the President Obama. And there were 196 countries. So right there, I could see the differences. But at the same time, we can see something equal. That we were pursuing, one of the values of this country is pursuing happiness. And maybe there is a little wrong with the materialist thing, but as a Buddhist, we're pursuing happiness. So the really core values, what does it mean to be human being? Anyways, and then just, I think 1 week ago, days ago, I joined a friend, a resident here, to do that ceremony. And he remind me that experience. And it was touchy and beautiful. Anyway, so getting to the poem, so this for me is about the harmony of difference and sameness, the title of Shito poem. And I'm going to read just the first paragraph of the poem. They say, the mind of the great sage of India is intimately conveyed west and east. Among human beings are wise ones and fools, and the way there is no teacher on north and south. So the first line, the mind of the great sage of India, obviously he's talking about Shakyamuni Buddha, the mind of the Shakyamuni Buddha. So, but the question is, what kind of mind is it? what is that awakening mind? How it looked like. So the question is, my mind is the same like yours? We are having sesshin, we are having the retreat, and then I know that you are start experiencing how your mind is. And then I don't think so that we are having the same thoughts or the same feelings. So that mind is different. But as soon we wake up, or one wakes up, it's just only one mind. And that's what Shakyamuni Buddha realized under the Bodhi tree. When he woke up and he say in the story of Zen, the awakening say, I and all beings simultaneously are attending the way. And that when we had the experience, we realized that awakening mind. So we see that everybody has that mind. And that the compassion comes in the next step. So this intimately conveyed West and East has been transmitted. You know, we are reading a poem for 700s. How many years? 1,300 years ago? More, or more than that? And then it's still valuable. And then I guess he wrote in Chinese, was translated into Japanese, and now it's translated into English. It has been transmitted. But it's not just the teachers that has been transmitted. It has been transmitted the practice itself, the zazen. That's what it has been transmitted. That zazen, the Zen Master Dogen say, zazen is awakening is zazen, practice realization. They come together. So here, what we are doing in sesshin, we are doing rituals, we are eating oryoki, all these things that have been transmitted for so long. And it's not so much about cultural theme, but it's more about a container to really realize that mind, that awakening mind. Because what we are doing with all these forms or manners, like an oryoki, if you are for the first time experiencing, how does it feel when you cannot make the knot? How does it feel when, the spoon goes here, the spoon goes there? You are really waking up that moment. You open your eyes and you start looking around how others are doing it. And then like Sensei Kaigetsu, she was saying that we take for granted so many things. So these little details and Zen really, really help us, what my Maizumi Roshi said, to appreciate your life. You can feel the nervousness. It's just a very simple thing. But you don't want to feel embarrassed. You don't want to be the fool that you don't know how to make the knot. But that you are awakening to yourself. You start feeling life. And sometimes we get so numb with our habits. So I'm not gonna go more. So you have to be in sesshin. For those who are in session, they are lucky. So I'm going to close. And then, one thing is the second part is among human beings are wise ones and fools, and the way there is no teacher of north and south. So traditionally, getting back into the times of Oshito, he was talking about two schools in that time, the North School and the South School, and two ways of practice, the gradual awakening versus sudden awakening. But in this piece about among human beings are wise ones and fools, so here, right now, in this room, is full of that. It's not about to be wise or to be fool. It's just each of us, we are totally in different stage in our spiritual awakening, if I can say that. We had quite different background, different karma, if I can say that. But soon we come together and to do this session, we are on the way. We are really on the way when all this difference doesn't exist anymore. When we are doing session, it's just wasting time. In my case, if I'm thinking about how many sessions I have done, and this is going to be easier. All this counting, it doesn't work anymore. So the teacher and the student is really right there, is just equal. So we are human and we are waking up. We are awakening together. So just to finish here, some of us have sitting many years, some just are having the first session experience. What a gift. I wrote it, we didn't talk, and she talked about gift. What a gift. How, just as a homework, and finish with this, when you approach your practice or your sitting, if you approach to your cushion with just you have already done. Not so much about wanting or try to get something. It's almost more like really you are already full. Makes sense what I'm saying? Like you are already complete. Like you are already enough. If I can say, you can just come to your cushion, I am already enough, and sit with that. And instead to go into this chasing and attaining and driving, and just experience with that, just what is your intention when you're going to go into your cushion? Try to fix yourself or to really be yourself. So in the way, there is no teacher nor sound. So in the way, there is no reference point anymore. It's just practice as it is. There is no north, south, west. There is no Netherlands. There is no Mexico. There is only Zazen. Thank you.